All right, guys, today is a special day because we have something that has not released officially, although you can buy them if you're a size 9, so there's that. This would have been LeMelo Ball's first signature shoe with the Big Baller brand, had he not signed with Puma, of course. Hey, what's good, guys? My name's Chris. Welcome back to the official WearTesters.com YouTube channel. Today we got a detailed look and breakdown on a shoe that was supposed to have released, never did. Supposed to have released independently, I should say, and never did because the athlete that they belonged to ended up signing with Puma. They also had some controversy right around this time where one of their, and by they I mean Big Baller brand, one of their business partners or whatever, like, because it was a friend too, but either way he was like embezzling money. What a little bitch! But anyways, LeMelo ended up signing with a different brand entirely, like I was saying, so it really didn't matter. So this was supposed to have been the Big Baller brand MB1. I think that these are really cool. I actually have all of the Big Baller brand shoes now that I have these in hand. So I have this Big Baller brand Z02. This is actually a sample that I wear tested, not for Big Baller brand, but for David Race, who is the designer of this stuff. He actually is one of the co-owners of Brand Black. So he sent me these over a long time ago and he was like, hey man, playing these, let me know what you think. Basically, I don't know if they could see, but up there's the Rare Metal, the Nightwing colorway. It's like a collab that we did with them. But this shoe is basically that shoe, but a lot lighter within the upper. It had like ripstop and all that stuff. So that's what this guy was. And then my favorite of the shoes is actually this bad boy right here. This is the Z02.19. One of the best shoes I've ever played in my life. It reminds me a lot of the Nike Jet Flight, another phenomenal basketball shoe. And then we also had these guys right here. This was a Jello's shoe. This was the G3s or something like that. Bingo. All three of them actually use the same exact tooling and everything, so the same outsoles and the same midsoles with the same exact shank plates, but then they switched up the uppers to cater towards each of the brothers. So we have a really lightweight but still premium package with the Z02.19s. Then this guy was supposed to be like a bring back as far as like big man shoes goes. And then last but not least, again, we have the MB1s, and I actually bought the wrong ones.
You serious?
I thought that I clicked the ones with no strap.
He did not.
Now, as far as this shoe is concerned, the midsole and the outsole, like I was saying before, is the exact same as the other two models for the other two brothers. So we have the same exact stuff here. This traction is elite, by the way. So if you've never used this, you actually do have an opportunity outside of this shoe itself because they use the same exact tooling, both midsole and outsole and shank plate on the Brand Black Villain as well as the Brand Black Pro AM. So if you wanted to try this stuff out, you can. They are available on those two models. This guy right here, though, I do believe is just a little bit better than those two shoes. I'll explain why in just a second. But basically, the outsole right here is badass, dude. Like, this thing can really just handle its own on any court, indoors, outdoors, dirty, not. It was just fantastic. It was so good that I was just like, man, this is so nice. I wish that this was on almost every shoe. So if you have not experienced this traction right here, I do highly recommend it. I think it's phenomenal. Now, outside of the Villain and the Pro AM, you can actually use a very similar traction pattern, which is right here. They use this on the Rare Metal 2 and now on the Rare Metal Evo. This is the Rare Metal Evo Lows. I believe this is a sample. So David actually sent these over. I bought these from him myself, but he sent these over. So big thank you to David for that. Either way, this traction is also awesome and it works phenomenally outdoors as well. It also lasts really long too. So if you're interested in checking out this traction, highly recommend it. It's essentially multi-directional, but it's very underrated looking. Now the midsole on these guys right here, as well as the other Big Baller brand shoes, the midsole, I believe what they originally described it as on their website was just a high rebound foam. So very non-descriptive, but it is really a very comfortable foam setup. Like, that's one of the reasons why I like these so much, because the upper is so light but still has premium features like the leather and the suedes, but the traction and the cushion are just some of the best I've ever used. So this guy right here, again, uses the same exact stuff and it's just really, really good stuff. Like, I absolutely love the way that these feel. They feel bouncy, they feel low profile, they feel supportive, they're nice and wide too, so you like actually sit inside the base and you just feel amazing in them. Unfortunately, the style or the compound of the foam that they use here is not exactly the same as the Brand Black Villain or the Pro AM. Those ones are a little bit more dense, they're a little bit more light. They called them Zero Lawn, so it was supposed to be like a much lighter version of this. This has, or at least it feels like it has a little bit more rubber in it. So again, it feels really bouncy. And the Zero Lawn stuff, even though it's the same exact looking tooling, just does not feel the same. And I really just prefer this over that. One of the cool things though about these shoes, I'm talking about all the these little like Big Baller brand stuff is that when you see them, they have the triple B's on the toe. They got them on the outsole and everything like that. But when you look at the Pro AM or the brand Black Villain, they don't feature those things at all. And those are actually additional pieces of tooling. So when you're talking about the word tooling in footwear, it essentially means the mold process or the mold itself to make any of these things happen. So when you talk about the outsole, we talk about the tooling. When we talk about the midsole, we also talk about the tooling. And then when you talk about the branding or the logos that you see on there, that's also considered tooling. And the reason why is because these can actually be swapped in and out pretty interchangeably. So for example, if you were going to try to make a shoe and you wanted to go over to China and you'd see all their open molds, which are just open molds that you can use. So any design that they have that's kind of like free to use, where you don't have to design your own, because making molding is very expensive. It can be up to $10,000 per metal mold. So that's per outsole, 1, 2, that's 20 grand right there. And then if you wanted to multiply that by however many sizes, that's 20 grand per size. And that's just for the outsole. We're not talking about the molds for the midsole or for the branding and all that stuff. So open mold tooling is a much more affordable way to make your footwear. And it's how they're able to make, say, something that's pretty generic looking, like an Air Force One cup sole. And then instead of having the air on there, they say whatever your brand is, you would just pay for that tooling to be made. And then they place it inside the tray while they pour in the rubber. And that's how they get a different look to it.
Wow.
The insole is pretty basic. It just feels like a dense piece of foam. So it's just this thing right here. This actually allows you to feel the foam midsole underneath it a lot better than something that's kind of like fluffy, like an Ortholite. Is it a great insole though? No, but obviously you could take it out. There's no glue marks on here, so you don't need to like heat it up or anything. It just pulls right out. And like I said, if you don't like it, you can take it out and put in anything that you want. The upper on these guys though is a lot different than the other two models. So again, this one's like a mesh base with premium overlays. This one is just premium everything everywhere. So it's a little bit heavier, it's a little bit less breathable, but fantastic materials. And then this one is exactly what LeMelo likes. So if you see this, and then you also see what he plays in over at Puma, where it's all synthetic and mesh and fuse and all that stuff, this is his thing. So like you can tell that even back then for this scrapped shoe, he was getting exactly what he wanted out of the brand. Obviously it was his brand, but like still. So I find that to be very interesting just because these two shoes over here are pretty much the way that I like shoes, but LeMelo is a different guy, you know what I mean? So like if you like shoes like this with the synthetic lightweight builds and things like that, then this might be right up your alley. Do you see where the inspiration came from the shoe from the top down view? Do you see anything in there?
I've seen so many shoes my entire life.
I know. This is one of your favorites, he says sarcastically.
The questions.
There you go. So yeah, the toe here was actually very loosely inspired by the Reebok Question. And then everything else underneath the fuse paneling is just lightweight mesh. So it's ultra breathable. There is a little rear section, this little panel right here of suede, but it's actually synthetic suede. It's not genuine suede. So if you're a vegan and a size 9 and you wanted to grab something that you'll never see, this could be something that you might be interested in. I actually grabbed these from David's personal site. I don't remember what it was called. I'll leave a link down below though. But basically he had I follow him on social, and he had said that he was going to release some of these samples, and so he did, and I went and grabbed a pair. So for anybody curious, that's how I got them. Now, like I was saying before, the version that I got, I thought, man, I'm actually a little miffed that I didn't get the non-strapped version, just because I don't love straps. I don't hate them or anything, but I definitely don't prefer them. It is fixed onto the upper and everything. It's the only thing that I don't really like. I just think that it looks cleaner without it, but you know, it is what it is. I do really like his MB1 logo up there though. I think that's really cool looking. The tongue though is very interesting. This is where it's like really different between this pair and the non-strapped version. So this one actually has a 2-layered tongue. So this pink thing that's coming out of here is not fully gusseted, but it's semi-gusseted. So it's not a full internal sleeve or anything, but it is fixed and attached at the midfoot. Doesn't make it hard to put on or anything like that. It's like really big and kind of exaggerated. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't feel like it's like completely functional. It feels like it's for just comfort. And then the other tongue is more of a traditional tongue, which I believe is on the regular version with no strap. Now, as far as sizing is concerned, they do fit true to size, so whatever you typically wear, that's what I would get. However, like I said, if you're a 9, then you're good. If you're not, then sorry. Hopefully you just like looking at relics and stuff. I know that some people, when they watch our videos, they're like, they're not available in my size, so they check out. If you're still here, thank you. I appreciate that you support us like this. But anyways, I think that these are a fantastic shoe, so if you are a size 9, I'll leave a link down below. I think that he still has some pairs left. I don't know if they're in this colorway though. I think that he only had like one of every that's listed on there. I did see a couple of these as well if you wanted to try these out. These are awesome. So thank you guys once again for being here. We greatly appreciate it. Shout out to David for doing something like this. I think that's awesome that he's like selling some of his stash. Could you imagine if Tinker Hatfield was like, I'm gonna sell some stuff, be ready? I'd be like, but sound off below and let us know what you think about these. Thank you so much for being here. We greatly appreciate it. We will catch y'all on the next one. So until then, have a good one.